Hockey ends in overtime. Orioles and Mariners just underway. Welcome to baseball tonight. It's Nario Rodriguez. Could he lift up the Orioles? No, he lifts the pitch up in the zone. Leadoff man Joey Cora Gazoo hits it over the right field scoreboard. Jim Evans, though, ruled it a double. And Lou Piniella wanted an explanation. He got overruled, but they would get plenty of offense. Junior Griffey would follow with an RBI double off Rodriguez. Took a pitch out of the zone and slammed it. The Mariners had teed off. They knocked Rodriguez out in the second inning. One inning and a third, gave up 5 earned runs, 5 hits, and 2 walks. Billy Swift so far is hanging in there. 2 earned runs through 4. Griffey's got a couple of hits, so does Cora. It's 8-2 as they play the 5th. Peter, if things weren't bad enough, and by the way, Gary Miller and Peter Gammons with you. We've got a little bitty show here until SportsCenter at the top, and we'll get in what we can. And the Orioles, how can it get any worse? They're already in last, and now they're out in the Kingdom.
Well, and they've lost Jimmy Key. He's got a bad shoulder. They're really worried about this thing. That could be a long time for a guy that's had a lot of arm trouble. But there's a lot of life restored into that team. I mean, they're going to let Jeffrey Hammonds play every day. Sidney Ponzo's going to get a shot as a closer. They're looking around to make some deals. There's no question. They're looking around with Armando Benitez, Rafael Palmeiro, maybe even Robbie Alomar if they made a big deal. And I think almost certainly in the next 3 weeks, you're going to see Cal sit down for a day just to give him a rest. I mean, after all, he's had an RBI in 1 game this month.
Wow. They could be 15 games out if they lose this game in the Kingdom, because the Yankees take it on the White Sox, just changing socks. They beat Boston 2 out of 3. Now off Jamie Navarro, they're teeing it off. Paul O'Neill doubles in the gap. Chuck Knobloch and Derek Jeter. It's the opening inning. Nobody out. 3 batters later, they still haven't gotten it out. Bases loaded, and Navarro puts one right over the heart of the plate. Jorge Posada hit it so hard, it was a slider going out. Yanks up 4-0. 2 batters later, he got it out. But Navarro now facing Scott Brocious. That pitch is above the belt. Darryl Strawberry and Posada score. Yanks up 6-0. Navarro's only got 1 out and then was out of the game. The total opposite for the Yanks, Peter.
Now, Hideki Arabu, now the American League ERA leader. Great stuff. He locates a fastball inside to Frank Thomas. That's Norton looking. Strikes out Chris Snopek with that split. 88-mile-an-hour split tonight.
Arabu's spectacular. He's never thrown a shutout. Goes the distance, and he makes the last out himself. Even had some movement on that as he got Jeff Abbott for the final out. Jeff Abbott on a day when the White Sox, who have their own problems, are working out Jim Abbott to see if he might be able to join their pitching staff. They've called up Jim Parquet. He'll start against the White Sox on Tuesday, but the Yanks throttled them and continue to have the best record in baseball in the shortest outing of Navarro's career. Chicago's other team, the Cubs, in Atlanta, where they'd lost 2 out of 3. Now the 4th game of the series. Kevin Tapani and Kevin Millwood both going for their 7th win tonight. Michael Tucker on first goes to the hit and run. Curtis Pride with doubled on the right field line. What was with Tucker, Peter?
Well, Jeff Blauser, one of the great, wily veterans, points up, oh, it's a pop fly. Michael Tucker goes for the trick. No, Michael. So it delays him so he doesn't score on the play. Then the bottom of the 5th. Double down the left field line. Great relay. Watch this play. Curtis Pride bowls over Sandy Martinez, and, well, Gary, they get a little rough here. NHL style.
Now, for once, we have a brawl that started for almost legitimate reasons.
Look at Kevin Millwood's in the middle of the pile. I think they'll have a little talking to tomorrow about that.
It was spirited, but they understood that it was just a collision. They separated them. Nobody got ejected. Sammy Sosa had homered earlier, a solo shot. But this one off Mike Cather is a 3-run poke. Suddenly it's a 6-5 game in the 8th. But Mark Pachada and the Cubs bullpen couldn't hold the Braves. Andres Galarraga to the warning track will score Lockhart and Chipper Jones. Braves go on to win it 9-5. So Tapani falls to 6-3. Kevin Millwood now 7-1, give up just 2 earned runs. His ERA is 3.27. The Cubs didn't do well when Atlanta lost 3 out of 4, but they'll play 20 of the next 26 at Wrigley. Ed Bush, the bearded wonder, Big Red. Mark McGuire taking on Larry Walker in the Colorado Rockies. Busby's pitch would end up banging off the right field corner. Walker's hitting streak is at 20 games. Still in the first, 2-1 pitch. Dante Bichette pulls it into the left field corner. Bichette with the bases loaded with unload with a 3-run double. And Colorado builds an early 3-0 lead. John Thompson would have to contend with Mark McGuire. McGuire hits a titanic shot, bounces off the restaurant. His 24th of the year, and then on a 3-2 pitch, Busby clearly seemed to pull something on this pitch to Vinny Castillo, who pulled it foul. Donna Russa comes out. It's an elbow injury. They're not optimistic. When they went to their bullpen and Sean Lowe, the Rockies took advantage. Todd Helton robbed by Delino DeShields in the hole. Mark McGuire would come up with a shot that's taken at the warning track by Bichette. Kept it at 4-1. Then in the 7th,
a little game of baseball espionage here. It's 5 versus 5 seed. Ellis Burks peeking in at Tom Lampkin behind the plate, and they get in a little discussion. Later, Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa thought that he was getting signs from getting location from the runners at second base. So they had a little discussion. What Duncan said later was, hey, all we let him know, we know that you're doing it. We don't like it, but it's something that happens almost every day in baseball.
Well, Burks had been in a horrific slump. He needed all the help he could get, and he busted out of it with 3 hits, all doubles. Bichette is batting .349 and had that 3-run double. And Walker's hitting .347 with that 20-game hit streak. We'll hear from Mark McGuire on our midnight show on his 25th home run. In progress out in the deserts. Arizona with a 1-0 lead in the second. Omar Dahl pitching. And Greg Vaughn going the other way, heading for the pool. Oh! Brady loses his glove over the wall, but it wouldn't have mattered. It was still gone. Vaughn gone. He gets the souvenir back. Meanwhile, Jay Bell and the Diamondbacks try to battle back, down 2-1 at this point. And Bell hits one that just misses the second tier. And it is now 2-2 as they play the 8th at the Bob. Andy Ashby, Springer has come on in relief in the 8th. Bell's homer was his 6th, Vaughn his 16th. A reminder, we're just moments away from SportsCenter at the top of the hour. Reggie Miller and the Pacers trying to pull even with the Bulls on Memorial Day. And a game you probably just saw. It went to overtime between the Sabres and the Caps. That's coming up next.
Hi, I'm Bob Peck, and I've been an exclusive Chevy dealer for almost 50 years. Chevrolet offers the best value with the most complete line of cars in America, and I can offer my customers lower prices and AAA approved service. Chevy City is conveniently located in Arlington, minutes from D.C. and only 2 blocks from the Boston Metro Station and I-66. For the best Chevy deal in town, check with Peck. Save even more with up to $1,000 cash back.
Discover North Arlington's hidden treasure, the charming Lee Heights Shops. What's under the awnings? America Seafood, a complete line of fresh seafood and dinners to go. Imagination Station, quality children's books, audio and videotapes. Lemon Twist, casual women's apparel. Facets Fine Jewelry, for fine jewelry and gifts. And 13 more shops just below where Glebe Road crosses Lee Highway. There's always free parking at North Arlington's hidden treasure, the Lee Heights Shops.
At the now eternally open Olympic Stadium, no more roof. Game tied at 3 in the 4th. Phillies and Expos. Mark Portugal facing Mike Hubbard. Wheeling play by Scott Rowland to keep it tie at 3. That's the same score we have as we head to the 9th. Runners to the corners. And Rowland hits a blast off Anthony Telford. Rondell White in pursuit at the wall. Did he get it? Yes! Before it hit the turf. And that is something that even amazes the likes of Felipe Alou.
What a fearless player he is.
And what a clutch catch in a game that's tied at 3, Peter.
So watch this. Here Vladimir Guerrero makes kind of a strange mistake on Mike Lieberfall's fly the ball to right field. He thinks the ball's foul, but with the wind, with the roof open, it blows fair. Sometimes when you've got great arm, you can make up for it. Great throw to Vidro, fires to third. They nail him. Talent makes up for mistakes sometimes.
And up in the 14th, Shane Benadon pitching Enrico Bronya, who had earlier driven in a run, drives in the biggest runs of the game. White couldn't get to this one. It's a 2-run double. The Phillies end up winning this one 5-3 with the roof open. The rain came down later, but Gomes picks up the win and relieves Spradlin his first save. They both knocked out 13 hits. Let's take a look through the scoreboards for you to get you up to date on everybody. Hershiser beat the Reds 3-1. We showed you Colorado. Nomo with no decision. The Dodgers pulled out in a Sheffield homer in the Astrodome. It is tie at the Bob, and we showed you the other games. In the American League, quickly, Toronto beat Boston. Cleveland beat Detroit. Oakland with 2 home runs from Mike McFarland. The Yankees whitewashed Chicago. KC over Anaheim 6-4. Minnesota over Texas 9-3. Seattle with a big lead on Baltimore. Well, those are the scores. We'll have highlights and Peter's analysis for you in an hour with extensive talk about what happened in baseball today. But with the entire sports world now, it's Kenny Mayne and Dan Patrick.